Right now, we're working on winning the first 6 games. And these kids know that. I mean, that's how important every workout is every day. It's like we are working that we are going to win our first 6 games or lose our first 6 games right now, from now until August. And so the importance of putting your body in as good a position as you can right now, until spring ball starts, to perform.
We had a lot of guys here that were pretty bought into whatever it was going to be. We knew we were going to just attack it, 100%. So a lot of guys on defense, some guys on offense, a bunch of just dudes that have been here for a while. So we just kind of had the mindset of, there's going to be some new things, there's going to be some things we've done before, but we're just going to attack them as a group and just do whatever we can to try to help lead these guys.
First thing, he walked in, clapping, getting everyone hyped up. So I think that just kind of showed everyone that he was really excited to be here, and just that energy that he was going to bring, which carries over in everything we do.
Well, when he first got here, the first day I met him, I was excited. I loved his energy and his passion for the game, and obviously him playing here, it's pretty special. I mean, when you play at Northwest Missouri State, it just means a lot more. And him being through it, especially going here, you can relate a lot to that, and I just really liked his passion and the fire and his competitiveness he brings every day, because I'm very similar in that aspect as well.
In each game, when played, there's about 6 seconds in every play. There's about 30 minutes of every live action of game, and so the hours and the amount of time that you put in the off season comes out really fast during the season. And so the mental preparation, kind of the toughness aspect that we really beat into these guys, and the discipline side, all happens right now, because that's how you win those games. And the first 3 games of the year, usually those games most times are lost by a team more than they're won. And so I think, if we can come out, and I think we have, if you're very disciplined, if you're physically freaking tough, and you play the right way, you're going to come out in those. And so it's just to put that importance on those guys, and of how important what we're doing, what we're saying, how you're following these directions is to how it's going to directly correlate to once the season starts in September.
Guys, great job, okay? Going on to week 2 now, getting here, we're ready to go. Meeting starts at 8, we're 5 minutes ahead. I mean, we don't want to always play, let's beat the clock, but this is a great job of being where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, keeping your commitments. Again, it's master the things that don't take talent, and take care of those, and then that's going to help set our foundation. So another part of this tonight, we have Brad McCaslin with us with XA Score. This is a big belief of mine.
Well, XA Score is a program that was started by a colleague of mine. His name is Brad McCaslin, that we coached together back at UNO a long time ago. Program that we use that we as a staff can track our players on how they're doing. It started as a sleep app. Sleep's such a big deal to me in recovery, and making sure these college athletes, that's the number one way they sabotage themselves, is not sleeping. And video games, social media, everything cuts into that time, as far as bedtime. So the biggest thing is, we got to start going to bed at the same time every night. It's very important that is consistent.
So every morning, first thing you do when you come to the facility, you weigh in on the scale, and there's a QR code you scan with your phone. And after you do that, you do a daily check-in. So how are you feeling today mentally? And then you track your sleep. So you put the time you went to bed and the time you wake up, and then your soreness. So, I mean, the coaches and you are already on the same level, because they check it every morning in their staff meeting. It's kind of just taking another step as an athlete. I mean, you can track your numbers in the weight room all you want, but the stuff that really matters is how much you're sleeping and your recovery, because that's a huge aspect of it.
The XA app that we all downloaded as a team, I think it's definitely been beneficial for us. I'm a health guy, that was my major, so it's cool to see just how that relates, especially sleep. Sleep is one of the most important parts of recovery. So just seeing that, and I think we had a meeting one time and it talked about the guys with the lower sleep, they were more prone to injury and sickness, and we actually saw that to be true. We had, I think, 6 or 7 guys get under 6 hours of sleep, and because of that, they were getting sick or they were getting hurt. So just seeing how important that really was, I think it was cool. And it was definitely a reality check to a lot of people.
For us, XA Score, it's been big. Just it gives us an understanding of sleep habits, eating habits, rest, how they're feeling, in general soreness. That's been huge. For us now we're to the next stage where we're looking at more the long-term effects of what we're trying to do. So it's great to get that instant feedback and accountability, checking in type stuff, but now it's where we're going to. If we're trying to gain weight with a kid or we're trying to lose weight, we're trying to implement some of that stuff now. So I think it's been beneficial, but also the time stamp on there has been huge to understand. If we say before 10 a.m., everybody has to get in and get their XA score, their body weight done, and all their little quiz done. If it's not done by that time, those are the guys that are falling below the standard, and we need to take care of those. So some of those small things, even though it is small, you learn a lot about a kid if you can't get out of bed and get to where you're supposed to be by 10 a.m. So
it made our lives easier too with the weight. Before we would have an Excel sheet and we'd type in weights every day manually. Now we can just get on the app and look, and it shows the trend of how they're doing. If there's a big drop off, you know they're dehydrated, you know they're not drinking or eating enough, so that's like a telltale sign that, okay, he could get injured if he doesn't change something. So that's big time, and accountability is huge too. And even like showing up, yes, but also like, all right, we want you to gain 10 pounds, let's see how you're trending. If they're trending down, they can see that too and be like, all right, time for a change, or I'm not gonna get where coach wants me to get. So I think that's big.
You know, you get through the, you know, is it an honesty thing or is it not? And it's like, well, it's for you. It's for the players. You know, it's like, okay, let's track this, you know, and how we're doing. So that gives us instant feedback of, all right, our team's really sore. And so the spring's not too bad because we kind of go every other day. You got time to recover, but it's when we're lifting a lot, it allows, okay, maybe we got to push back on this because we got a lot of kids that are saying they're really, really sore. And we want to, you know, make ourselves available to say, okay, we're going to tailor our workouts to get the most out of our kids. And if we're beating the heck out of them, they're not going to come out and produce every day. So we find that we go through that every single morning. And then same thing on the feelings. You know, if they get, you know, 1's bad and 5's great, you know, and anytime somebody's putting like a 2 or a 1 on there, then our position coach immediately reach out to them and say, hey man, what's going on? You know, and a lot of times it's didn't do good on test or super sore, but sometimes it's I'm struggling with something at home. And it's just a way for them, you know, not have the come in and say, hey, I'm struggling. It's a way for them to put something on there, we can see it, and then we can be the ones that follow up. And I think that's another part of developing that trust and that relationship with our kids, to say, okay, like I care about how you feel, and we want to make sure you're getting what you need to get done. Ultimately, it's a way for us as coaches to get a snapshot of 120 guys and how they're doing.
All right, next up, week 2 of weights starts tomorrow. Okay, we have 34 weeks of weights left. Anybody, I said earlier, can do a great job for 1 week. Okay, well, we're going to separate ourselves from the rest of the pack is what we do those next 32 weeks. That's going to define us. Our reputation will be defined. We will figure out who we are. You will figure out who you are. You'll figure out what you can handle. And ultimately, at the end of those 32 weeks, the Bearcats come out together.
This is my 5th head coach here now for football. The first thing is I need to see what kind of football players he wants. You know, I know a lot of our athletes that were back, so I kind of knew where they were, you know, as far as, you know, needs for whatever his goals are. And so that kind of gave me a good understanding of where I wanted to go with things too.
Listening to them too and seeing what they both want and how we can meet in the middle somewhere. Like you said, communication, that is like the biggest part of it. And just talking to each other and making sure you can find some middle ground between what we're doing.
And I was just tickled to death down with Joe, because Joe really is passionate about his trade. I mean, I've never met a guy that cares that much about kids and just goes the extra mile for them. And so, you know, he's very open, very flexible, very pliable.
Yeah, this year's model is more of a Monday through Thursday model. Because if I'm only going to get you for 4 to 4.5 hours a week, each day has to have a focus. The Monday through Thursday model allows us to focus in on these specifics and then give them a weekend to rest and recover. So
this year was pretty special because we split up into 3 groups. We had the smalls, which were the Falcons. You had the mediums, which were the Cats, and then you had the bigs, which were the Bears.
You know, the Bears are the big boys. You know, that's where you win and lose games, is on the offense and defensive lines. You know, that functional strength is about the most important thing, and flexibility, and being able to set the line of scrimmage, play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. And if you got 2 good groups there, you're gonna have a good football team. We're not gonna have our 180-pound DB doing the same workout as our 330-pound offensive linemen. That doesn't make sense. Cats, and that's kind of our mids, you know, our linebackers, our running backs, our quarterbacks, our tight ends, you know, those guys that are need both that functional strength and functional speed. And then we have the Falcons, and those are your wide receivers and DBs, you know, kind of your game breakers. And that's, you know, speed and explosiveness is the biggest thing we're going after there.
The Bears would have more time spent in the weight room while the Cats and Falcons were doing more speed work and sprinting. And Cats would come in second, and then Falcons with the least amount of time in the weight room because we had a bigger emphasis trying to get them faster.
Offense came in as a group, defense came in a group, and it's a large, you get 60 to 70 kids in there at a time, but it's very focused and driven time-wise. I thought it was better. It allows you to say, this is your 25 minutes to challenge yourself. You might get 8 to 10 sets in that time, but it allows them to say, I feel comfortable now, and allow them to push a little bit more in the weight room.
The Armory is the heart and soul of it. And so when you go down to the Armory right now, this is the first school, that I've been at that, still has probably the iron plates, you put the iron and it's a clank and it's the sound that just, me growing up, when my dad was a coach, that was the weight room sound. I'd hear those guys stacking plates on top of each other when they're squatting and those rattle, and that's a magical sound. I mean, that's just a sound of work. And to me, everybody's into, you got to have the newest, greatest weight room. I kind of go with the old, Rocky IV mentality of, when Rocky's fighting Ivan Drago, and Drago's got all the nice stuff, and Rocky's in the mountains and the barn. Working out's working out. And it's how you use the weights, how you use it. It really doesn't matter what type of weight it is, if it's the nicest in the world or not, but it's moving that weight functionally. And so I wanted to be proud of what we have, because we have so much space, and name it, but that's where, what you walk into isn't as important as what you do when you're in there. So the Armory is something I wanted to name that, okay, that's what our building is. That's what that space is. And now that's where our special weapons are developed, and it's what you do with it. And so kind of embracing it, man. It's like, okay, you step in here, it's coming to work, substance over style. We took it, we ran with it. I wanted to name it, I wanted to have something and embrace it, and our kids love it, and our, Joe Q loved it. He actually came up with the name, and I appreciated it, and I just said, we need to embrace this style, of what we have and what we're doing, and we have. We're not lifting for 2 hours. Rest and recovery is just as important as the actual exercise, and when you do the exercise, it has to be everything you got, 100%, and then we recover. We'll give you enough time. And our strength coaches and staff, we had to build that into the workout center, saying, okay, this is a little different than let's run around, have 8 stations, county fair type, and just kick the holy dog out of them. We still had those days, but this stuff is specific.
If you look at it from a time component, 45 minutes Monday, 1 hour 15 minutes on Tuesday, 45 minutes Wednesday, an hour 15 on Thursday. So our 45 minutes on Monday was power, explosive, Olympic movements. We're coming off the weekend, we had our longest recovery, but then we're getting back into just waking up our body and getting ready for what the full rest of the week contains. So we should be fresh. Multi-joint movements, we're trying to be explosive and powerful, and that carries over into what we're doing in speed school that night.
And then Monday evening we'd go up to the Hughes. We'd do speed school, would be our max velocity day, so we would sprint. We would work on running mechanics, a bunch of stuff like that, just to get them used to getting high-end speeds and having better running mechanics, because a lot of hamstrings and stuff like that can be because of running form. So we kind of hammered that in the off season just to make sure when we went to spring ball we could limit stuff like that.
Tuesdays were, we say back to the basics, but it's our upper body max effort days, shoulders, rotator cuff, core type movements. So a little more time in the weight room under the bar. Wednesday, we went back to carry the packs is what we called it, carry the packs, build our backs and rear shoulders up.
So Wednesday evening we would do agility, change of direction stuff. One of Coach Mac's big things is he wanted athletes that could start and stop quickly and accelerate fast. So that's what we worked on Wednesday.
The nice thing too with a lot of the drills that afternoon were reactive. So it was you versus a teammate. So there's always a winner, there's always a loser. We're always competing and challenging ourselves. So even though it's agility, it's still pretty high-end speed, quick cuts, those type of things, which they were getting them prepped for spring ball that way. Thursday was our back to basics lower body day, max effort lower bodies. It's a longer day, but we have the full rest of the weekend to recover. So a lot of our multi-joint lower body type moves were done on that day. It was meant to wear you out. After we get our main move done, we pair off with somebody that's either our same position or somebody that's going to challenge us. We're pushing the tempo the rest of the way. Our main move is all timed up, and then after that it's all on tempo. So we're getting a lot of volume in a short amount of time to help just general conditioning, but also work capacity, general physical preparedness. But it's also seeing how they interact with their teammates, and leadership-wise, it's been big for us to develop some of that just from that one-on-one interaction with the teammate.
So after Thursday, our heavy lower body day, we would go back up to the Hughes in the morning. Everyone would take off their shoes, and we'd go on the turf for about 30 minutes. We'd do, just yoga. We'd stretch. We'd get all the spots that were probably sore, hammies, hips, a lot of mobility stuff. And at the end, we'd belly breathe, relax, and then send them on their way.
I'm an older guy. I've played a couple snaps, so it's like my body's sometimes not always feeling the best, but you can be in the weight room killing it, but you got to recover as well. And that's one piece that Coach McMenamin's brought in that I've really liked. That my body has felt a lot better from it, and it's also just fun watching some of the bigger guys try and do yoga.
Yeah, yoga's different, man. Friday Pulse, I was really excited about it. I was like, man, I'm actually going to get flexible. That's not the case at all. Especially seeing some of these big guys do it. I remember specifically seeing Clayton and Niall. Just those guys it was hilarious. Like trying to touch your toes. Obviously, like they're old guys like me, but yeah, no, I just can't do it. Yoga's not for me. It's not for a lot of people. I like that we're doing it. I think it's definitely helped my body a lot. I am more flexible because of it, so I'm glad we are doing it, but it's not for everybody, man.
This is always a fun part of the year because not just with the coaching staff change, a lot of those seniors that leave the program, these juniors and transfers have to step into those roles of leadership. So you see what you're going to have for the fall. Who's going to step into that and say, I'm going to take this on. And even our young guys, this is where our young guys always feel like they're freshmen. You're fighting for a spot just as much as that next guy. So you see some of those guys that might have a little bit more drive and hunger to step into those roles in front of a sophomore or junior that aren't really focused. So, our goals are to win conference, to win national championships here. And we need those guys to step into those roles. We can't wait. So the urgency when you see those kids have a little bit more fire than they might have had last semester because they know it's on them now, that's awesome.
I loved how structured everything was this offseason, especially with Coach Matt coming in and Joe Q. Joe Q's been here a long time. He knows how to do things, and I think they worked really well together with collaborating and being able to be on the same page, and everything is at a certain time. We start weights at 6:01. We start at the 1 because we want to think that we're number one in everything we do. And just the intensity in the weight room and the energy, you can tell, is really taking the next step. And it's also just being a fifth-year senior. Joe preaches it all the time, move with a partner, really trying to move with a young guy, someone that we can pull along, because when I was a freshman in those shoes, I had guys that would pull me along and get me where I'm at. So I still think about those guys and what they said to me and how I can be a leader to those young guys as well. It's hard, like the commitment of 100-something dudes to do everything every day. Some days it's just you're not having the best day, but then you look to your left and your right and you see those guys you're going through it with, your best friends and your brothers, and it really brings you up. The first place before you run out of the tunnel, it's the weight room, and it all starts in there. And if you want to get on the field, you got to be able to produce in the weight room and really just embrace it. Just being able to do the work when you need to, but also being able to mess around with the strength staff. I think we have the best strength staff in America. Those guys, they bust their butts. Like they're in the facility all day long, and the GA's office is always open. I probably sit in there 3 hours a day, just talking with them about life, just messing around or strength conditioning. But it's really cool to see that stuff because like other places you don't get that opportunity or that one-on-one to be with your strength coach. Some schools you're just lifting with them, but here it's like, they know everything about you. Like if I'm struggling, I need something, Joe Q's, they're right there for me. I stayed up here over winter break, and a lot of guys go home, but I stayed up here and I hung out with those guys all day long. We would just work out, we played basketball, we'd go to Pizza Ranch. Perfect balance between coach and friend. It's really just a brother. Like they'll get on your ass when they need to, and it's good, but then they'll also bring you up when you need it as well.
I feel like just the want to was there this year in the weight room. I feel like a lot of years in the spring it can kind of go down, it's easy not to be as motivated, but I feel like this year with the new coach, new staff coming in, I feel like everybody was just excited.
After the fall semester, coming into spring, we gave every person, just based on the weight room, a 1 to a 3. 1s are the guys, your leaders, the guys you can trust. 3s were the guys that basically shouldn't be here anymore. And I think we had, I don't know, 10 to 15 3s starting the spring, and now I would say there's, I mean, maybe 1. I don't even know. Like, there were switches that were flipped, and guys were ready to compete and ready to work hard, when in the fall, we didn't think those guys should even be here anymore. So that was a huge change, night and day difference for a lot of the guys.
1s are your elites, your 3s are your bottom end, and your 2s are those guys in the middle that could either go up or down. You have to move from that middle. You're not just going to stay there. You're either improving or you're decreasing, and we got to make sure those guys, this is our standard, we got to make sure we're above that standard and challenging them. So it's a great way to at least see where they started this semester and where they finished this semester.
That off season's really about is big in discipline, being mentally tough. We're not going to go in and just wow anybody on the field or win by 28 points every game. They're all going to be battles in this league, and you got to have some tough ass dudes, and that's what that's for, is like to push them to the point where they know they can go a little bit further, do just a little bit more. They're not done yet. And once some of those kids start seeing that, okay, I can get another rep or 2, or I can go a little bit harder, it's like, okay, what else can I achieve?
Me being a walk-on here, I never was in the top 50%, I'll say that, But with that is I got better every year. And that's to develop in this program and where we want to be, everybody has to improve. So it's not just those elite guys that are great, everybody has those. It's that middle group that is pushing towards that front end. So for me, this time of year is huge, not just the leadership-wise and the weight-wise and that stuff, but it's to see who's continually going. If I have these 20 kids that are consistent, I take those kids any day of the week, and you put those with our elite guys, if I get 80 guys that are pretty much pushing and staying consistent, I know what the outcome is going to be on a Saturday just because of what they're doing in here.